Hey guys, welcome to another video. Now some of you will have known from the moment that this game happened that it was only a matter of time before this appeared on my channel, and I talked about it. This game just has absolutely everything except a lot of goals. It's of course the longest overtime in RLCS LAN history, and I think one of the absolute best defensive performances ever that we've ever seen in a single game on LAN, which is obviously a big requirement in order for a game like this to happen. It's Vitality against RealOne. Now I want to talk, of course, about both of these teams after the LAN. I've made a couple of videos. I mean, it's almost scripted that the two videos I recorded before going to Boston were about Rawas and Zen, and now the first video that I'm recording after getting back from Boston, we're going to be watching it in its entirety from Rawas POV, and you guys are going to get to watch how difficult it is to play against Zen from the perspective of, I think, the best goal line defender in the world, already starting off with a very nice in and out save there. But also just a chance to kind of talk about how both of these teams went at the major as well. RealOne, they did really what they went out there to do. I think that the first objective for them at the Spring Major, just like Falcons at the last year's Spring Major, was to secure an additional world spot for the Middle East, and that's what they've done. By getting top 4, they secured a third LAN spot for the Middle East, and that's going to bring Twisted Minds along to the World Championship in place of version 1, which is absolutely insane, but a great result for the Middle East. Now, Rawas and Kalirs, the twins, were just the two players in this team that everybody wanted to talk about, and it's inevitable, of course, when you've got two twins that are so good at the game, and they're both in the same team. That's not the best defensive touch there by Rawas, but his twins got him covered. You're going to get a lot of people talking about them, and Mawson, I think, for me, was the big surprise. I was so impressed by Mawson. That's M7SN for those of you who are not familiar with him. Oh my goodness, what a shot that would have been if that had gone in. No chance for Rawas on that one. But we can't be having a goal just yet. Let's keep watching for another while. If this is the first time you've watched this game, you're in for a treat. But yeah, Mawson, I didn't know what to expect from him coming into the major. We've seen him at RLCS, or we've seen him in an RLCS LAN before. That was at the World Championship wildcard. Now at that event, him and his team, LAN Esports, he was playing with his Onyx and AMS, they came in pretty late. They were the bonus team for the Middle East at that event. They didn't know if they were going to qualify until the Spring Major, when Falcons got second place, and guaranteed LAN Esports would be at the World Championship wildcard as well. But on top of that, I remember at the time that all the Middle Eastern teams were having visa issues. They didn't know if they were going to be there. They didn't want to get their hopes up too much. And yeah, it's hard to just mentally prepare yourself for a LAN if you don't even know you're going to go. But yeah, they did end up going. Didn't play all that well at the LAN. I think going 1-3 in Swiss. Both the Middle Eastern teams did. Senzo's team Veloce and Mawson's team LAN. But RealOne clearly saw potential in him because they've signed him, if you remember. Going into the winter split, Mawson was picked up in place of Nader, who had a decent start of this season for himself and for RealOne, finishing second place, but second place not good enough for this team. They wanted to be the team in the Middle East, so they picked up Mawson, and it took them a split to do it. The winter split, Falcons remain number 1, but spring split, RealOne have taken that spot mantle from them, and signs that that's going to happen have been around since the very end of the winter split, where RealOne were able to win Regional 3, and then they were able to win the Saudi E-League, a LAN in Saudi Arabia where Falcons and all the other top teams in the Middle East participated. So the signs have been there. RealOne have been steadily improving. They've been putting in a lot of work. They've actually had a lot of praise from many in the pro scene, pros, casters, and of course their large fan base. So if you watch this team, you'll know that although Rawas is the guy who everybody's talking about in 1v1, he's one of the hottest prospect, has been one of the hottest prospects in the world of 1v1 for years now, and of course he's the guy who ended Zen's 1v1 win streak. Kalirs is right there with him in 3v3. Kalirs the offense to Rawas's defense. He is the aggression to Rawas passiveness, and they really do combine brilliantly on the pitch. But I do want to talk more about Mawson. Mawson filled the blanks brilliantly. I thought early in the tournament, especially when Rawas was looking a bit shaky, when he was looking a bit nervous, I think Mawson played very well. That helped RealOne get through the early rounds against Crew, and then even against Power on day 2. They needed a reverse sweep to beat Power, even to get into the crowd days of the tournament in the first place. Okay, here we are. Overtime commences. This is the longest overtime in RLCS history. RLCS LAN history, I should say. We've seen some incredibly long overtimes online. It's of course expected that there would be longer overtimes online, mostly because there are far more online games. You're just more likely to see one of them or two of them, or I think maybe 3 or 4 or 5 go longer than this game will. But on top of that, mistakes are more likely to happen on LAN. Players are a lot more nervous, players are panicking on occasion, and one misstep in defense, you're getting scored on. And it's very easy to make those mistakes when you're against a team like Vitality, who did actually start the event very slowly. They didn't look themselves against Elevate. Now that should have gone infield from Roas. Not sure if he was trying to bait the goalkeeper into thinking that he's infield passing and then just shooting instead, but it looked like it was far more clear to pass into the middle. Worth mentioning in passing that sometimes passing middle is not worth it, especially in 3v3. If you consider it too obvious, then sometimes it's just better not to, as a mid pass to your teammate can very quickly turn into giving away possession to the enemy goalkeeper, and that can very quickly turn into a counter-attack or even a goal from distance. So that's probably what Roas was thinking there. You can always as well sometimes get a nice easy goal if you shoot when the goalkeeper is anticipating an infield pass. Okay, back to Vitality's summary of the LAN. Poor start versus Elevate. Also very unimpressive overall against Complexity. I think, you know, Complexity were the better team in that series right up until they weren't, right up until the AJG missed one of the easiest open nets that I've ever seen be missed on LAN. It was a disaster for Complexity, a disaster for AJG, who otherwise had a great series, and that sent Complexity to the lower bracket. But the writing was on the wall for Vitality's upper bracket run, and they did drop to BDS 4-1 in the upper semi-final, which is not the result that they were expecting. And that's a great pass by Roas. Kalirs hitting the bar. Now Roas a bit afraid to boom that second shot off the crossbars. Kalirs was recovering more slowly. And that's Roas's mantra. That's how he plays threes. He doesn't ever want to overextend, and if his car is going to land in a bad position, he'll try and slow the play down just a little bit, unless of course it is a clear-cut opportunity. Very much a dedicated or designated third man, one of the most obvious third men in the RLCS scene, and yeah, it does work to some extent. And that was a bit of a triple commit there, but again, Roas is controlling the plays, able to get back to the ball and prevent Vitality from getting any follow-up chances. Not to say that the triple commit would be advised either way, though. Nice little beat on Zen as well in the back corner. We're just approaching 3 minutes of overtime, with a whole lot to go just yet. I don't think I actually mentioned before now, but we are at DFH Stadium, which means we're in Game 3 of the series. You can tell what match you're in, what game you're in rather, in an RLCS match, based on the map that you're playing on. Manfield Night, always the first game, then Forbidden Temple, followed by DFH Stadium, followed by Utopia Coliseum. And then if I think, what is match 5 right now? It's the new map, the Canyon, whatever it's called, Deadeye Canyon, I think. Neo Tokyo, those are only if needed, of course. Best of 5, you go straight to Champions Field. But this being a best of 7 would send us into game 4, 5, and 6, then 7, Champions Field if needed. Yeah, a lot of talk about defense and offense throughout this season. A lot of talk about play styles. I think it's really interesting that we're starting to see play styles be discussed as much as they are. You know, 3v3 for a lot of the time in RLCS history has been a lot more about just playing optimally and less about style of play, more just playing well. That's a great save, by the way, by Zen. Roas looking for the mind game on him. No such luck. Zen really showing up, and you know, after that slow start I mentioned from Vitality, they really started to steamroll, absolutely destroying the last Open North America 4-0 in the round prior to this, whereas RealOne went to game 6 with Moist, as Vitality absolutely came into this one as the favourites. Now, Vitality came into this event to try and win it. That was, I think anything other than a win would not be acceptable given the split that they'd had. That was really the only result that they wanted. But like I said, RealOne, they got their result. They got the top 4. That was their main objective. Then after that, anything else is a bonus as you look forward to World Championship with 2 other MENA teams alongside them to try and prove and try and win the third best region in the world award for Middle East. Unless even second best region in the world is up for grabs with NA's, I think, weaker performance, a fair way to say it, at the Boston Major. Yeah, you're seeing a very clear, I'm sure you've noticed, a very clear playstyle divide throughout this match. It's only going to get more and more prevalent as this goes on. And that is that Vitality are a less role-defined team. They have not as clear and not as designated of a first man as they do just an idea of how they all want to play the game at any given time. Now, I think for the most part, Zen, to me, ended up being the third man for this event. I think it actually makes sense when you look at what this team is capable of. Verdosen and Alpha 54, I don't think are as consistent as Zen is, especially in defense. So it makes sense to have Zen be the, you know, priority defender. He'll just end up back more often than not. You won't cut as many rotations. You won't cut cuts about in the opponent's half as much as Verdosen and Alpha would. But overall, Vitality are not really a team to overstay their welcome in the opponent's half. They like to get back to the halfway line and they attack, or rather they defend by just continually attacking their opponents at that midfield line. You see Karmine Corp do a very similar thing, BDS do a very similar thing. I believe it is, you know, it's just the optimal way to play right now is to defend by attacking, because especially on LAN, it's very difficult to defend against these top level teams. You can get pretty far playing like RealOne have played in this event, where they try to bait teams into the back corner and they try to wait for small overextensions. They try to wait for teams to lose their structure and for gaps to appear between challenges, and then suddenly RealOne will burst into an attacking position and they'll go all in, especially with physical play in the air. But yeah, that will only get you so far. I'm a strong believer in attacking play being the way to play, especially on LAN. In 3v3, it's almost a bit of a lucky goal there for RealOne. Didn't expect that one to go all the way through. Almost 7 minutes into OT. Already the crowd going absolutely mental when this happened. But we've got a long way to go just yet, so don't get on the edge of your seat. You might end up a bit uncomfortable before the end of this game. Yeah, I've been talking a lot to the other casters about you know, the optimal way to play it. You know, a lot of people in the Rocket League community right now think that defense is just very easy, and I think you know, it's becoming a more and more popular opinion because the success that teams like FaZe have had online. FaZe, in my opinion, a very defensive team. They like to fake challenges, go back for boost, sit in the goal and wait for the ball to come to them. You know, so the success of FaZe, especially domestically, and the success of RealOne, especially domestically, taking over a very aggressive team, Falcons, as a new #1 team in the Middle East. And even the transformation that South America has gone through this season, becoming a more defensively sound region. You know, a lot of that points towards defense being strong, and some people have interpreted the rise of RealOne, FaZe, and some other North American teams and South American teams that are doing well as defense being too easy. Now, I would disagree. I think you're going to see more and more as this game continues that what RealOne and especially RealWas pulled off in this game, far from easy. I mean, some of these reads are unbelievable. The fact that they've been able to predict exactly where Vitality are hitting the ball. Vitality playing a very, very safe offensive style in this game, where they're just keeping the pressure on, they just keep creating chances, and they're never overextending. I mean, that might to some people be interpreted as defensive play, but I just think that is, you know, smart play. Recovering more quickly, having better boost management, that's just good play. It's not offensive, not defensive, it's just good play. It's just how you're supposed to play Rocket League. You're supposed to manage your boost well. You're supposed to recover quickly. So, you know, we're seeing continued offense from Vitality for large parts of this game, and then RealOne will get half a chance at net, but Vitality are really not giving RealOne real looks at the net as often as they're creating looks of their own. So, you know, when you really look at how the best teams in the world, and I think that, you know, there's a pretty clear top three coming out of the major, that's Karmine Corp, BDS, and Vitality. When you look at how they play Rocket League, it's all about putting pressure on your opponents. And, you know, that's, I think, going to remain the way to play. I don't see it really changing. I don't think that this idea that, you know, defense is just going to get stronger and stronger is accurate at all. You know, I feel like the fact you're driving a car that can't turn on the spot will always favor the offense. Fundamentally, it's almost a goal there for Kaliers. He had a great look at the goal there, and that was probably the chance of the game there for Mawson. you know, I sung his praises earlier on, but I do want to point out one of RealOne's biggest flaws. Mawson illustrating it right there, and it was the finishing. They had so many shots hit posts at key moments. That could have, I think, easily been a goal. Should have been a goal. Best chance of the game that they've had, and it goes off the post and out. Rawas does the impossible in 1v1 when it comes to defense. 1v1 as well, just like 3v3. Usually a game mode that favors being in attack, favors being aggressive. Even historically, a lot of the best players, and when they're at their peak, or when they became the prime versions of themselves, were aggressive and controlling, dominant forces on the pitch. It's actually very rare for a defensive player to really peak. I think the only time I'd say that a defensive player was unanimously the best would have been Flakes in 1v1. And then Rawas more recently. They're the two players that I think skew a bit more towards defense. Flakes more so than Rawas, while still being unanimously number one. It's very difficult to do. To be able to pre-jump and read Vitality as many times as they have, hats off to them. It's very entertaining to watch. I'm here for it. Loving the play styles that we're getting to see. But wow, I mean, this is just it's just not how I would recommend playing Rocket League. If you guys are watching this thinking, yeah, you know what, I'm going to try and play like Rawas, be very careful, because he is just, I think, a player that's so difficult to replicate. And look at Mawson here, just floating directly in the way of the ball. So important to play the ball with your first challenge. RealOne doing a great job, not giving Vitality space. Well over 11 minutes into overtime now, but Vitality have got RealOne on the back foot. Boost steal there from Alpha, that's key, as Rawas is being depleted here. Down to now 0 boost, going for the middle. And he gets in, I think Kalir's there. Yep, very good pass, and Rawas didn't get the proper lineup to rebound. I think if Rawas read his twin brother a little bit better there, if he realized that the pass was going a bit more towards the back post than he expected, that would have been a great chance. Now Rawas about to get the 1v1 started. Before he can, it's taken away from him, and they're right back in defense. Vitality with so many rotations back towards the ball, stifling RealOne's opportunities before they can get started. And then there it is, Zen with the dunk, and it's immediately into the middle for the game win. It doesn't take much. It was Vitality's earlier challenges that got the job done for them in the end. And how about that for an end of game scoreboard? 1,000 points for everybody but Alpha. I mean, he's going to be fuming with himself that he didn't get 1,000 points in this game when everybody else did. But yeah, just incredible stuff. Rawas, 12 saves in a international major lower semi-final, 4th place. Vitality were just too good, too controlling. They conceded a couple of very, very good opportunities at the end there. But for the majority of it, it was Vitality who were pressing, Vitality who were pressuring, and Vitality who were controlling the play. And eventually went on to win this tournament, of course, using this exact same style. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. If I've said it many times before, if you want to copy a player and try and make their playstyle work in your own ranked games, I'd recommend sticking to a more standard player, not a massively mechanical maniac like Zen, not a defensive mind reader like Rawas. Probably just stick to somebody like an Exotic, a Redosin. These players are incredibly effective with what they're able to do on the pitch without overcomplicating things and without relying on soul reads. Just playing the ball, no nonsense Rocket League. These are the guys you want to copy if you want the fastest results. And obviously, you can look to Rawas, and your Rawases, your Zens, your Alphas, your Kalirs for motivation as well, because these guys have done fantastically. Mawson as well, they're a very consistent player. I'm not saying Redosin and Mawson can't flip reset, can't pre-jump saves in defense, but overall you're more likely to get results if you try to replicate the players who are playing consistently, players who are playing just solid stylistically, and not trying to overcomplicate things. But yeah, congrats to RealOne once again on the top 4. I preemptively said congrats in a predictive style video before the event. Now they've done it. Congrats on getting top 4 and getting a team, another team, Twisted Minds from Middle East. That's Senzo, Venom, and SMW. They're going to be joining RealOne and Falcons at the World Championship. Of course, going through the wild card. Falcons at the wild card as well, by the way. That's kind of crazy. And congrats to Vitality on the perfect split. Truly an incredible feat that I don't think will be replicated anytime soon, unless they can do it again, maybe. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think about this. Is the aggressive style going to be around for a long time? Do you think it's just on the way out over the next few splits and seasons? Yeah, for me, I think it's just going to become even more prevalent. Everybody's going to try and gravitate towards that aggressive pressuring style, in my opinion, but only time will tell. And yeah, I'd love to know your guys' thoughts. Let's see what the experts have to say in the comments, as we always say. But that's all we got time for today. Again, thank you all so much for watching. Look out in a couple of days for a couple of standout Zen games that I've picked out that I want to talk about from the major, because I know you guys want to watch anything and everything to do with Zen. So I've picked out my favorite Zen games to show to you guys. And yeah, since I'm away a lot with LANs in the upcoming weeks, expect a video every other day on the YouTube channel with occasionally shorts in between. And I'll see. I can't make any promises, but I'll see if I can get any live streams, any show matches live from the wildcard like I did last year, because I know you guys liked them last year when we were able to do that. But that's all for now. Thanks again for watching. Until next time, have a great rest of your day or night, and take care.